Hello, this is Paul.
Hi, Paul. This is Robert Earl.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you on because that means that we get more shows from you. You know, sometimes when you say you're going to stay home for a while, it's not as fun as you'd think, right?
No. I'm, like I thought I was going to be a woodworker, and I didn't even realize you had that tool sport. So there you go.
I love it. Well, this is going to be kind of fun. I know that Bass Hall, of course, it's a beautiful venue. You've been there.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. And I'm just thinking, at this point, what in the world do we get in the set? Because you've got so much to choose from, and still new music to come.
Well, that's a good question because I hadn't figured out my set list for it yet. But my thought is to kind of turn the set upside down and see how it works. I was like, kind of start out pretty heavy and then get quieter because it's a room that you can handle. It can handle quiet, more acoustic like songs. So that's kind of been my thought. But I never know. Like when I'm at a restaurant, I always pick like 3 things that I think I'm going to order, and then I change right at the last minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then, of course, that's kind of the same thing. You've got this great box set, and of course, it's got a graphic novel. It's got all kinds of things that are different. So, sometimes you never quite know what's going to come out, but we know it'll be good, right?
Right. Well, I have a great band, and we've been playing together so long that, things just, click into place pretty easily. And speaking of like Western chill, I haven't really explored the depth of that record really very much. So, we might pull some of the things that are, had been on the back burner and play those as well. So the main thing about Bass Hall is, creating like some kind of rhythm to your, set. So people can follow you, as opposed to just, pulling out all your high school poetry kind of songs.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, people love to hear the classics, but it's also,
Right.
but that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Oh no, there's the thing. People always are like bringing, new fans to the show, friends and family, and they're talking about, they talk about like, oh, I love this song. So, we always try to hit a lot of the ones that, we know people really like, because we don't want to I've been in that situation where you brag about some act or something, you talk about one song or 2 songs in particular, and they never play it. And it's like, oh, what a drag. I've shot my mouth off, and this guy didn't do anything that I wanted him to do. So, it's definitely a slippery slope sometimes, but the basic thing is like really, getting people engaged from the start and really, keep it going at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, it might feel a little bit different too, because at one point you thought, okay, well that's it, and then also just lifestyle changes as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the great things about my career is somehow I do speak to a pretty wide demographic. I used to make this joke about I was the Milton Bradley game of all music acts because I appeal to everybody from 8 to 80, and it just it sort of turns out that way. So gets lots of young, lots of old, so it that way you really are having some kind of common thread with the people that you're singing to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and of course, people have been looking up to you for years, and they think, "See, that's what I want to do." But you just make it look a whole lot easier than it is. So, what kind of advice do you give to those new generations that are seeing you and want to do what you do?
I would like to do it in if I could look back on my life and change some things, I would certainly. I'd I've written a lot of songs and stuff, but I think I'd even work harder. I think, like as I go along, at this time of my life, I enjoy the writing as much as I enjoy the performing. And when and earlier I was, didn't have the confidence. I was kind of afraid, or sometimes I wasn't sure that I was doing, a really good job as far as writing. But at this point, I'm very confident about what I do, and I enjoy it. So I would say, the thing I tell younger people is like, put the work into it, really, and don't worry about what other people think. Just, make your best effort and just keep digging.
Yeah, well said. Now, you might be familiar with my co-host, Drew Pearson, who one of our great Dallas Cowboys, who caught the Hail Mary and went in the Hall of Fame. And I was so proud of him. And he wanted me to make sure that I asked you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just kind of had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
I got off a plane one time in San Antonio, and there's a radio station there that was kind of an outlaw radio station, and they played a lot of me. And I've been playing to 100 people, maybe 200 on a good night somewhere. And I got off this plane and I went over to the place where I was playing, and there were about 2,000 people there. And I had a little 2-3-piece band, just a bass and a fiddle player. And I said, I got in the back of the line and said, who's playing here? And they said, oh, this guy, Robert O'Keefe, he's really great. And I was like, oh boy, wow. I gotta really figure out something here. So, I got up there and, put in my best effort and, caught a huge bunch of that crowd and did not disappoint. So I'd say that was my Hail Mary moment.
Yeah, and the person you asked, who's that playing? They probably would have been like, no, wait a second.
Yeah, right, yeah. They had no idea.
I love it. Well, part of that is that success mindset. We talked about that on the show a lot. Is there something you tell yourself that kind of keeps you on the right path even when things are tough?
I never miss a show, Paul. I had some health problems last year, and I had quite a few shows, and there were days where like it would be 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd have a show saying 8, and I'd just be telling myself, I can't make this, I cannot do it. And 30 minutes before the show, man, I was suiting up and stepping out there, and giving it my best. So a lot of times your adrenaline, your inertia towards the show, if you believe in it, will carry you through.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you've always been a great storyteller, but now I'm really fascinated that you got this podcast that's great, and you get to talk to a lot of artists about, kind of what makes them great. And that's got to be such a kind of a joy for you too, to be able to, sit back and do this as well.
I really do enjoy it. It was a pretty steep learning curve to learn how to keep my mouth shut and listen. And when I first started with the podcast, I used to just take notes and notes and notes and notes, and I'd be going back and forth, trying to listen and looking at my notes and seeing where I was going. And then I finally figured out, I know this thing. I can do this. So I just make a little 3x5 card thing of notes just to make sure that I hit the high spots, and then I just talk. But mainly what I would do is just listen. So and pay attention to what they're saying, and really try to get people to tell me what they were about, not only in music but in their lives, and that was. There's a lot of things you can learn on your side, Paul, that are helpful, and but it takes a little practice. So I got where I really enjoyed just being part of it and talking to the different acts, and I can't think of one that I've talked to that I did not enjoy.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I really enjoy doing the interviews, and it really is kind of the university of life. You learn a little bit of something from everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's it's a really big surprise. You just like surprised that somebody was just made it all up on their own, or somebody was really trained classically and they're playing some real killer hillbilly music and things like that. And so I interviewed Billy Strings a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just shocked what a self-actualized young man he was. I was really shocked about how aware he was about his talent, but also about how to make his talent work for him the best way he could. And I was stunned, like how well he knew what he was doing and where he was going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. It's always great to discover, artists that you may
Yeah.
not have dove as far into. Are there some new artists right now that you really like?
Well, there's just so many of them out there now, Paul. I mean, it's really hard to keep up with. My daughter, who is the general manager of Americana Music Association Nashville, she'll say, "Oh, have you heard of this person?" I mean, she'll just I'll go, "I was just listening to the person you told me about last month," So it's definitely hard to keep up with. I love Cleto with the Flatland Cavalry, and William Beckman. He's been around a few years, but he's really come on. There's another one that really kind of figured it out as he was going. When he started, he was kind of not really, I don't know, not paying attention too much, but now he's got it really down. It's what's really enjoyable and surprising to me is how people get into this and then they somewhat figure it out pretty quickly, and then some of them don't. But that's been my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, I understand you're working on some new music as well. Probably not as many details, but there is some new music coming, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a record that it's going to be called "The Wailing War," and it's based on the song by the same name that I worked on for quite a while. Actually, I don't. A lot of songs just come out, and some of them, hit a dead end. And this one, just had so much potential as I was going along. I just kept working on it, and that one is just a fantastic song. I mean, I hate to pat myself on the back, but this one's really strong. Got a great melody thing. You got a great storyline. So happy with that. So I'm going to kind of follow that in that way of almost kind of mystical storytelling, where there's some other elements involved instead of just couple of people talking or one particular incident that was good or bad in somebody's life. So this one's a lot more, I don't know, multi-dimensional.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we're excited about that. So I guess we'll probably get that sometime next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what's going to happen.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and this is still fun to you. It's still fresh, right?
Oh, absolutely. You get to my age and you kind of think you might have hit the end, but for me, it's the opposite. It's like, I've just learned so much all the time about writing. I've gotten where I've written a lot of poetry in the last year or so. I've written a lot more prose than I used to, and that all comes back to what I said before. It's like, I didn't have the confidence that I do now, and so it's like all you do when you get at this point is just wish you have more time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess that being said, last thing, what is it that since we get to see you again, what is it that you're hoping that you'll get to do next?
From here,
Yeah.
I'm working on a book. I have a pretty extensive guitar collection,
Yeah.
and I'm working on a book where it'll be pictures of my guitars and then a bunch of these poems that I just told you about and that I've written lately. That's one of the things, and then of course the podcast we've remodeled it, and we're going to expand our whole definition of Americana to include writers and directors and actors and even food people and even some fashion people. So we're expanding that, and so I'm going to get to talk to a lot of other people that we consider Americana just as a broader definition.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Good. No rest for you, right?
No rest for me. Yeah.
Hey, that's all right. We'll take as much from you as we can get. We really appreciate your time. We can't wait for the show this weekend, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
I appreciate it, Paul. Thanks for your patience. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Robert. You too. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.